we're just waiting till 5:30 because that's what we said on Facebook. So, but thanks for coming. Great new faces to see. We're excited about tonight. We should have trivia or something. Yes. The Jeopardy song.
Welcome.
Are we waiting for a cue from somebody?
Can you start? I think Ryan, yep, we're good to go, Mayor.
Well, welcome everyone. This is Jody's and my first time. We just decided mayor and manager community updates once a month might be a fun thing to do. Another just relaxed way to share with you what's going on in the city if you don't want to come to long council meetings or go through those on the internet, but just coming and hearing, and we'll have some time for some questions at the end. Tonight, we will be doing these monthly, we hope, so just watch for that. And really, our intent is just another way to engage you all and to help you understand what we're doing in the city.
Thank you, Mayor. Jody Andrews, City Manager. I'd like to say a few words and then we will get started with the evening. So tonight's focus is on public safety and infrastructure. These are two topics that are very important to our community, and we get a lot of feedback and questions about these topics. So the mayor and I will take a seat, and then we will have Fire Chief Birk talk about some of the things that he's working on in the fire department, followed by Chief Haubert, who will talk about what's happening in policing and with the Westminster Police Department. Then the mayor and I will come back and talk about some of the bigger issues in Westminster, focusing on public safety and infrastructure, and we'll try to make sure we have time at the end to take any questions from you and get it to a little bit of dialogue before we hit the 1 hour mark. So I will now introduce and turn it over to Fire Chief Erik Birk.
All right, thank you, City Manager Jody Andrews. As Jody mentioned, I'm Erik Birk. I'm the Fire Chief of the Westminster Fire Department. I'm very excited to join you here today to provide a community update and provide some highlights of the Westminster Fire Department. I'd first like to start off with reviewing some accomplishments, recent accomplishments by the Westminster Fire Department. The Westminster Fire Department has a Class 1 Insurance Services Office rating, which is the highest rating that you can attain. It is a 10-point rating system, and the better the rating, the more affordable commercial property insurance is in our community. So with that Class 1 rating, we really help the business community and help ensure that they have access to affordable, reduced rate commercial property insurance. We work very hard to maintain that number because you know how important it is for the community. We are also an accredited agency with the Center for Public Safety Excellence. Becoming an accredited agency is a 3-year process. It's 3 years of analyzing performance and data, all to demonstrate that you're in alignment with industry standards and that you meet the center's criteria for emergency service organizations. That accreditation lasts for 5 years, and we were first accredited in 2019. At the end of that 5-year period, you get to do the process again. I'm happy to report that in the fall of 2024, we were reaccredited for the very first time. As you can see here on the screen, that with the accreditation and the ISO rating of 1, we are one of 121 fire departments in the United States and Canada that have both of those recognitions. There are over 30,000 fire departments in the United States alone. On the next slide here, I'd like to talk a little bit about wildfire deployments. All Westminster firefighters are trained in wildland firefighting. It's part of the New Hire Academy, and all firefighters receive annual training throughout their career. In addition to that, we have a specialized team of approximately 21 individuals who have enhanced training and certification that allows them to deploy across the country to fight significant wildfire events. And you can see here on the screen, this represents the team's deployments from June of 2024 through February of 2025. And if you note the last bullet, it's the Palisade Fire in California. So we did deploy 3 firefighters and a Type 6 wildland engine to LA County to assist those communities. While we're here in the slide, I do want to take a moment to review why we deploy firefighters from Westminster across the country. The first reason is invaluable training and experience. This real-world experience that they gain on these deployments is second to none, and we could not replicate that kind of training in the training environment. It enhances their skill set and their knowledge, and it makes them better service providers here at Westminster. It helps them prepare for significant wildfire events in our community, and it helps our department prepare as well. The nation's fire service is built on a model of assistance. There's not one fire department in the country that can handle these type of fires on their own. And so the model is built to provide assistance to one another. By assisting California, I know that we would receive assistance if we were ever to need it in return. And how that model is supported is through reimbursements. So in the California fire, for example, we sent again the 3 firefighters to California. The state and federal agencies responsible for the management of that fire pay for the salary costs of our 3 firefighters while they're deployed. Since they're not here in Westminster, we need to backfill their vacancy at a fire station here in Westminster. That usually comes in the form of overtime staff. The state and federal agency is also responsible for covering the backfill overtime costs. So the salary costs associated with the deployment are reimbursed to the city of Westminster so that we do not receive a financial impact from that. We also, as I mentioned, deployed a Type 6 engine. We receive an hourly or a daily reimbursement rate for the use of that apparatus, and we use those reimbursements to help provide relief in the overall city budget and offset some areas where maybe we were underfunded or not funded within the fire department budget to make those purchases. I think I lost mine. When we talk about wildfires and we talk about the Palisade Fire, and then we talk about the Marshall Fire, it makes us, it reminds all of us about the threat of wildfire in any community. And as a department, we are constantly preparing for those type of events, and we're reviewing the Marshall Fire, Palisade fires, other fires to see what we can learn from those incidents to be better prepared here in Westminster. And one thing that we did after the Marshall fire is we placed an order for a Type 3 wildland engine. This is a coveted engine in the wildland arena, but it's a new type of a vehicle for us. We ordered it again after the Marshall fire, but there's a lengthy build time. We're hoping that it'll be in service this month. It's a very versatile apparatus, and I'll highlight some of the reasons why it's so versatile. I mentioned the Type 6 engine that we deployed to California. What that is essentially an F-250 or F-350 pickup truck with a 150-gallon tank on the back of it. A Type 3, as you can see in the screen, is very similar to the engines that we have in our station, but it has a 500-gallon tank on it and a pump capacity of at least 1,000 gallons per minute. With that increased tank size, we can stay in the firefight longer. With that increased pumping capacity, we can suppress larger bodies of fire than we can with the Type 6. It also has a high clearance, and it's a 4-wheel drive vehicle, so to get into some very difficult terrain, it's very useful here in Colorado when it comes to winter and blizzard events. So a very versatile apparatus for us. When we talk about preparedness and talk about wildfires, it's really important that we talk about emergency notifications. And in the city of Westminster, we use Lookout Alert as our primary notification tool. So if there is a significant law enforcement event, a hazardous materials incident, or a wildfire in the community or approaching the community, we need to notify you of that emergency. And the way we do that is through Lookout Alert. The key to this is it's an opt-in system. You need to go to Lookout Alert, you need to register and select how you want to receive those notifications. You can receive them via, phone call to your cell phone, via email, or to your home phone, and as I would recommend, all of the above. But it's key that you sign up for this. If you don't, our only tool to notify you of an emergency is Reverse 911, which goes to your home phone, and which is obviously your landline. In today's world, I don't know how many people still have home phones and landlines. If you remember the Marshall Fire, there was a lot of discussion in the community after the fire that they were not notified of the fire itself. And I can attribute a lot of that to a lack of registration to the opt-in system that county was using at the time. If you remember in Costco in Louisville, you had people in Costco shopping and law enforcement officers running down the aisle alerting people of the fire. It's because the reverse 911 call went to their home phone. They're not there. But that phone in their pocket would have alerted them if they were in the opt-in system. I'm asking for your help in this. We've done some analysis a few months back, and about 25% of our residents have signed up for Lookout Alert. So I need your help in talking to your neighbors, your coworkers, and your friends, and really encourage them to sign up for this system. The next product I want to talk about is Genesis or Genesis Protect. As I said before, we're always reviewing fires and what we can do to enhance our preparedness level. Following the Marshall Fire, we took a deep dive into our evacuation procedures and worked to find a way to make it more efficient, and that led us to Genesis. Genesis allowed us to break the city down into 143 zones, and it's managed from an iPad. So an incident commander in the field with an iPad, if there's a fire approaching a neighborhood and they need to evacuate that neighborhood, they select the zone and issue an evacuation order directly from the iPad. Genesis Protect is the public-facing version of that, and I encourage you to sign up for that as well. So if you were signed up for that and you were in that zone, you'd immediately get an alert that you're in an area that's under evacuation order, and then you're going to get that alert with Lookout Alert right after, because they work in conjunction with one another.
Did they just go to Lookout Alert to sign up?
Yes, our website is the best way to find information on how to register for both of these systems. Fire Department website, we have a link for both Genesis and for Lookout Alert. The one thing I want to mention just about Genesis is that if you sign up for that public-facing version there, the Genesis Protect, you can see what zone you live in, and you can save that zone. You can find out where you work, the zone where your kids go to school, or your family members, and you save up to 5 zones. So regardless if you're in the zone at the time, if there's an alert for that zone, you're going to receive it. So again, we encourage everyone to sign up for both of these systems. The Westminster Fire Department is experiencing some challenges. We're facing some challenges currently and into the future. And one of those challenges is rising calls for service. Over the last 20 years, our calls for service have increased approximately 138%. Many may look at this chart and think it's because of population growth, but that's not the driver here. Over the last 20 years, our population has only increased approximately 12%. So the population increase over 20 years is not what's driving this significant increase. Some of our most significant increases actually occurred in the last few years. In 2021 and 2022, the increases those years represented a 34.5% increase in calls for service when compared to 2020. In 2023, our department exceeded 17,000 calls for service for the first time ever, and we increased that number again in 2024. This is a trend that we're seeing in Westminster and the surrounding fire departments. Additional challenge that we are facing is that we have a critical infrastructure challenge with the Westminster Fire Department. In 2024, we had a ballot measure that would have helped address these infrastructures, but that ballot measure did not pass, and it was a very challenging election year. And so we are now back at the table trying to determine how best to address these critical community and department needs. I'll highlight those needs. The first two is a need for fire station facilities in 2 areas of the city. We've identified 2 areas of the city that we've determined to be service gap areas. That is in the Orchard Parkway area, essentially 136th to 144th, and then the central part of the city along Westminster Boulevard. Those are 2 service gaps. And when I say they're service gap areas, they mean that the Westminster Fire Department cannot cover those areas within the industry recommended standard or the department standard. The industry standard that's set up by NFPA is that you have 4 minutes of travel time to an emergency, and that includes fire emergencies and medical emergencies. So if you're leaving the station, how far that engine drives or that ambulance and stops at 4 minutes, and then draw a full circle of that radius. That's your coverage area. That's your 4-minute travel area. And you want to have your entire district covered within that 4-minute travel time. That north part of the city and the central part of the city, we cannot cover within 4 minutes of travel time. We could be, depending on the location of the incident, pushing anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes. I also want to talk why it's important to have a 4-minute travel time. Fires can double in size every 30 to 60 seconds, and I can tell you that fires burn a lot faster today than they did 20 years ago due to the prevalent use of petroleum-based plastics in our living environment. The fires burn faster today. From a medical standpoint, the longer someone goes without oxygen, the higher the risk of having permanent brain damage as a result, and we know that that can start as early as 4 minutes. So that's why that industry standard is set at that 4 minutes of travel time. In addition to the need for fire facilities to address service gaps, we have some fire stations that are in need of renovation or replacement, at least 3 stations. Some of these stations were built over 50 years ago. They were not built for the modern fire service. They weren't built to house our current apparatus or modern apparatus. Some of the apparatus currently does not fit in the station. They weren't built to house modern equipment. We have a modern, diverse workforce. A lot of these stations were built when we were an all-male volunteer workforce that had one giant bedroom. We now have 10% of our firefighters are female, and we do not have equitable amenities for all of our firefighters of all genders. So 2 stations, 1 additional station actually has some construction and settling related concerns. So 2 are in need of a replacement, and 1 is in need of a replacement. We also have a need for a training facility in the city of Westminster. Right now in historic Westminster, we have a training tower, and that gives us some options with training, but we cannot conduct burn training. We don't have the ability to do training in this city that keeps our skills sharp from a burn training aspect. If we are training, we have to go to neighboring communities, sometimes 30 minutes away from our station. That takes us away from emergency response if we were to be called back. We are also experiencing a challenge with onboarding, where our onboarding process can take 9 months, and so that we're relying on overtime staff to backfill those that are in academy. And we need some more flexibility and autonomy with our academy, and having a training facility, a comprehensive facility, would allow us to bring those academies back here to Westminster and bring people on more frequently than we can today. So those highlight our infrastructure challenges here at the City of Westminster and the fire department. I do want to highlight some opportunities to be able to get involved with the fire department. We have our Citizens Academy. It shows the dates. Unfortunately, the application period's closed, but this is a seed planning for next year. This is an 8-week immersive program, 1 day a week, where you really get to learn all about the fire department operations and functions. You get to use the equipment, the gear, and really build a connection with the fire department. I see some people in the room that have participated in that academy, and I really encourage you to sign up for next year's. This opportunity that's coming up this fall is our Flashover Fire Camp. This will be the 2nd time we've held this camp, and this is a camp specifically for females ages 16 through 20 who may have an interest in the fire service. It's also about empowerment, and we'll be able to build connections with our community. Again, last year was the first time we held it, had rave reviews. We're very excited to hold it again. So if you have anyone in mind that might be interested, I ask you to follow our website and our social media pages, and the application period should be announced shortly, but those dates are, again, the 27th and the 28th. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Make sure this is working. My name is Norm Haubert, and I'm the Chief of Police for the City of Westminster. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and to share more information about our police department with you. Tonight's topics from the police department will include staffing, crime trends in Westminster, community engagement, technology, and a brief update on the continuum of compassion, which is the protocols the city uses when we engage persons experiencing homelessness. So in regard to our staffing across the police department, we are the closest to our authorized staffing levels that we've seen in years. Currently, we have 4 police officer vacancies, 1 dispatch vacancy, and many areas in the PD are fully staffed to authorized levels. Compare this to 3 to 4 years ago, where we were 30 to 35 officers below authorized levels, 10 to 12 dispatchers below authorized levels. Due to multiple reasons, officers and other police department staff left this profession, and shortages were felt across this industry in Colorado and the United States. We, as a city, made a hiring and retention a priority because of the efforts, and because of these efforts, we've been able to come much closer to a nearly fully staffed department. As it relates to staffing, this is the best position we have been in since pre-pandemic levels. We have focused on hiring high integrity, hardworking individuals. We have been able to hire officers, victim advocates, and other police personnel that are bilingual and to better serve all of our community. We have officers and other police staff that are fluent in Spanish and Hmong. We have designated police personnel as liaisons to better serve our Spanish, Hmong, LGBTQIA+, and our senior citizen communities. We are also fortunate enough to add a co-responder program to the city, which has been a valuable asset to our public safety services. They specialize in assisting those in mental health crisis while working alongside our police and fire personnel. Filling our vacancies has allowed us to focus resources and police efforts on saturating business areas and high-density housing areas with more visible patrols. Also increasing our patrols within the neighborhoods, improving traffic safety, and conducting additional surveillance to catch criminals in the act. All of this to say, if you see something, say something. We would rather come out and find out that it's nothing or that we prevented something rather than coming out later and understanding that something nefarious occurred. Trends in Westminster. So violent crime in Westminster and across the state has decreased. Some examples of violent crime are robbery, homicide, and aggravated assault. Auto theft has also decreased. From 2023 to 2024, auto theft has decreased more than 25% in the city of Westminster. The police department continues to employ proactive tactics and collaborate with other agencies across the metropolitan area to combat this issue. Burglaries to businesses and to retail theft has increased across the state, and sadly here in Westminster too. An example of some of these thefts include large big box retailers that have been targeted by retail theft rings. Retail theft detectives hold regular meetings with our large retailers, working with other agencies to identify suspects and understand patterns and behaviors and collaborate as charges are filed. An example of this is in January, our detectives closed cases that span the last 3 years, working with the State Attorney General's office to file 210 separate criminal episodes across the entire metro area, totaling more than $500,000 in losses. These cases are becoming more and more complex, and we are seeing theft rings across the metro area and across the United States. Some of these individuals come from outside the United States and include groups from Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Chile, Romania, and Russia. Relating to smaller businesses, our detectives continue to work these business burglaries and thefts across our community. They were recently able to charge several individuals and close out several cases following up from a grand jury. The grand jury indicted several people, which means they were all criminally charged. There were 52 cases across the North Metro area, 16 of these being in Westminster, totaling more than $20,000 in losses from our businesses. All of these suspects are still currently awaiting trial. As these cases become more and more complex, if you or your business are a victim, please call the police department and report it. Have us take a report. If you have video, please save it for us. Please report it. We are working hard and we will follow the leads. We will work with other agencies to piece all of these criminal episodes together. You may have the piece we are looking for to help solve these crimes. These cases are a priority for the police department. Again, we're working with other agencies, increasing patrols in business areas and neighborhoods, and we're implementing proactive strategies on shift overlap days. Community engagement. The police department's ability to engage with the community strengthens our relationship with our community and businesses so we can provide the best protection and crime prevention measures possible. Some of these activities of community engagement include business walks with community services, which is our former economic development department, going door to door with the businesses to seek feedback and to better understand the current challenges and how we best work with them to solve our problems. Coffee with a Cop. You can see these, you can meet a cop and go to have a cup of coffee. We'll foot the bill. It's great coffee. It's not government coffee. And we will advertise these on social media. We also offer fraud detection training. This is from our fraud investigation unit, and it helps others to recognize and prevent financial crimes that might occur in your business. We also have detectives partnering with school districts to play basketball with grade school children during recess. We offer group meetings. These are for businesses, HOAs, and neighborhoods in local areas that have concerns about crime and crime prevention. We offer CEPTED, which is a crime prevention through environmental design assessment. It's an assessment of the exterior of your business or your home to better understand how landscaping can provide a safer environment for you and your family. We also partner with the ever-popular National Night Out. This is an annual community building campaign that promotes police-community partnerships and neighborhood camaraderie. In November of 2022, the police department fully implemented our body-worn camera system. Technology significantly enhances transparency by providing accessible information to the public and to police administration through digital platforms. This enables us to take a closer look at decisions by our organization and by individuals. This promotes accountability and ethical practices. Technology makes it easier for people to access information about processes and activities that were previously harder to monitor, increasing our transparency. To give you an idea of some of the volume of this, last year, our body-worn camera technicians logged over 143,000 separate videos cataloging police officer interactions, totaling more than 27,000 hours of video. We've also implemented a product called Draft One. It's an artificial intelligence product through Axon, which owns our body-worn cameras and our tasers. This artificial intelligence assists officers in report writing and reducing the time spent on report writing so we can be back on the road in front of your business or in your neighborhood. We've also seen a great increase in the quality of reports. We also employ the technology of LPR cameras, or license plate reader cameras. These are around the city, and they have assisted us in finding vehicles much quicker when they're used in crimes. Vehicle information and license plate information is put into the camera system, and we can search the information in the system using AI, and we will find the date and time the vehicle passed in front of the camera. If we are looking for a known vehicle or known license plate, we can input that information into the system, and the system will alert us when the vehicle passes in front of one of those cameras. That alert is sent to dispatch, and the officers are sent to the area to make contact. It has become a great investigative tool for us. Currently, we are researching the feasibility of speed enforcement cameras and red light cameras to better understand how they can assist us in traffic safety for our community. We will be presenting our findings to City Council prior to the 2026 budget cycle. And the last plug for technology, you can follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, or you can download the Westminster Police Department app, got to beat the mayor to this, on Google Play or the Apple App Store.
It's a good one.
We encourage you to learn more about your police department. There are many opportunities to get involved and interact with the police department. We have the Citizens Police Academy. Fortunately for us, it's in the fall, so there's still plenty of time to sign up. It's a 10-week program usually held on Wednesday nights to learn more about the police department. The Chiefs Community Advisory Panel. This is a 3-year commitment and provides a forum where the Chief of Police, can exchange ideas directly and discuss issues impacting public safety with the Westminster community with a designated group of diverse community members. This panel provides a diverse cross-section of people who work and live in the city. You can become a volunteer victim advocate. These volunteers provide support and resources to individuals affected by crime and help them navigate the criminal justice system. Coffee with a Cop, as we talked about earlier. Have a conversation with an officer at a local copy shop. Get your pens out. April 25th at the Target at 10445 Reed Street is our next event with Coffee with a Cop. You can also participate and come out to the Public Safety Open House. It'll be here on this campus. It'll be with the police department, fire department, and our public works department on Saturday, June 21st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's a grand time. The Continuum of Compassion is a set of protocols the city staff uses as we engage persons experiencing homelessness, and is a guideline to help city staff find the balance between compassion, navigating resources, and enforcement of ordinances. Staff made a presentation to City Council at a study session on Monday, March 3rd, 2025, seeking direction on options to modify city ordinances as it relates to unauthorized sheltering on city property. During that session, Council asked staff to return with an options for ordinances to prohibit unauthorized sheltering on public property not controlled by parks, recs, and libraries. Council also asked staff to provide additional options to explore ordinances that would prohibit unauthorized sheltering in some city parking lots. In all of this, staff will continue with navigation services first, and we will continue to act with discretion. To better serve the needs and concerns of our community, the police department is working with parks, recs, and libraries, public works and utilities, and the city attorney's office to provide council with options, and are hopeful to be back in front of city council early this spring. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for being here this evening.
And before I forget, I want to invite everybody April 3rd. We're having a town hall meeting on budget. And with what you've heard from both of these chiefs, we have, and especially fire, with the bond issue that didn't pass last year, we need your creativity. You heard what the needs are. We need to hear from you. How do we do it? And I know there's answers out there. You just need to have your voices heard. So I hope you're all April 3rd. I think we're at.
There's a slide coming.
Okay. There's more coming.
There's more.
I just didn't want to forget to invite them. Our city is strong. And so what's happening downtown? We have condos coming next month. Yes. They are going to have a groundbreaking. Today I testified for 1275, trying to help that, what do they call it? The deficient construction defects bill. There was testimony for 4 or 5 hours. I was in pretty early, but then you get hooked in and you want to see the results. It passed 12-1 in committee. It will now go to the whole House and then go on to Senate. But we need those, and they shared for every apartment, 14 apartments built, only 1 condo, and that's the reason we have housing shortage, because the condos are for sale so people can have equity and move on and get whatever they want in the next piece of life, and we don't have those, and we haven't built for 2 decades, so it's been a while. The first homes in the Uplands will be coming up for sale in 2025.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. I would also want to highlight some big investments from the city, so from your city, the municipal courthouse. That's been a number of years in the making, and that will be groundbreaking this summer. So our new municipal courthouse, replacing the one that's served Westminster since the 1960s, will be groundbreaking this summer. I also want to announce that our new and replacement drinking water facility will also be breaking ground this fall, and that is the replacement for our 1969 water treatment facility that currently is sitting at, it's called the Semper Treatment Facility, just behind our Municipal Works Center. So I do want to point out this is our replacement water facility. We will be keeping the Semper facility running for at least 10 years to make sure that we have everything dialed in.
And we're not the only ones building. We've got Arvada looking. We've got Brighton working on 2 more years to have theirs built. Broomfield's working. So we're all sort of the same age and things working. So what's coming? Well, have you heard of Trader Joe's? That will be coming at 92nd and Sheridan sometime I've heard mid-2025, but nobody will give me a date yet. But just wait for that. And then we have 2 new restaurants. If you haven't been up where CB and Potts, we're up on 120th and Huron area. The Perdita and Homegrown have recently opened. They're great restaurants. You'll see Homegrown from 120th, but you have to go on the west side of Homegrown and go to the north around, and that's where you'll find Perdita. And it's a Mexican restaurant and very delicious.
Thank you, Mayor. And this slide is titled, Our City is Strong and Vibrant. One of the things that Westminster is famous for in Colorado is the number of small businesses that we have in Westminster. The mayor runs at least one, I think maybe 2 small businesses herself. In 2024, we had 313 new businesses open in Westminster and receive Westminster business licenses. So we're not just saying this. This is true. The small business sector in the state really believes in Westminster. We have a team that supports those small businesses, and I wanted to highlight that we have over 300 new ones in just the past year alone, Mayor.
Fantastic. What's coming to Westminster? Westminster's nearly built out. You know that. You've heard that from us. We only had 3.5% of the city remaining for development. After Uplands is built, we'll only have 2% left. So we are a community that's now focused on redevelopment. And so I don't know of any right now that are happening, but stay tuned. And the city has planned ahead for this in our redevelopment that will focus in downtown Westminster. Obviously, the shops at Westminster, Walnut Creek, Westminster Promenade, and the Westminster Station are all places that we have development that has happened, and things keep getting added. I live close to the Promenade, and I go over there and go, what's this? So, because you don't always tell me.
Yeah, things are moving in Westminster with respect to redevelopment. I think that that's really important to emphasize that this is not a new development city anymore. We are pretty much at build out. Those remaining 2% of the parcels in Westminster are very hard to build on, and that's why they're still sitting undeveloped in our city. I want to emphasize related to that, our focus for what's happening in historic Westminster. So in the southern part of our city is a very cherished neighborhood that we all refer to as Historic Westminster. We've been very hard at work, and this is the year of action in Historic Westminster. The mayor's going to touch on one big project there. One of the other things that we're working on, in addition to replacing critical water infrastructure in Historic Westminster, we're also replacing the playgrounds at Irving Street Park and at England Park, and making steady progress with the 73rd Avenue Corridor Study Project, which is an effort for us. If you're familiar with that area of the city, we have very narrow sidewalks. We have light and utility poles that are sometimes in the middle of those sidewalks. We also have a very tight right-of-way, so the street tends to go right up to those property lines with those small sidewalks. So it's been a challenging project, and we've been seeking a lot of input from our community there, and we will be making progress on that very shortly. Oops, just pressed the wrong buttons.
And coming to downtown, Historic Westminster is the Birk. The Barkentine Brewery Company is coming soon to Historic Westminster in the former Rodeo Market. You've heard a lot about that, and they're going to offer hearty food and craft brews, but we own the building, and we haven't done anything with it, not knowing who was going to go in and what needed to happen. So part of what our responsibility is, we are taking care of. And so some people like to blow up, you're giving blah, blah, blah money. Well, you have to understand some of this was our responsibility, but why would we, if we put in a restaurant and some art place wants to come in and doesn't need the kitchen and stuff, that would have been wasteful money. So we're doing who's coming in there, and I just want people to hear it from us, how this all works. We have improvements to the infrastructure around the Grange, which is right next door to the Bark and the Rodeo Market, and then the Valente Humanitarian Park.
Thank you, Mayor. And I would want to clarify with respect to the Bark project, it is the Barkentine Brewing Company. There will not be brewing on site. So it's not a microbrewery on site. The beer will be brought in from their other location. And that is a common question we get, Mayor. All right, I want to talk about challenges coming ahead, and the mayor is going to talk about a few of those as well. The biggest challenge facing Westminster, as in many communities, is balancing our long-term capital needs with our ongoing operating and maintenance budget needs. I can tell you, as all local governments, but some people don't know this, but we have to deliver a balanced budget each year. So that means that our revenues have to exactly match our expenditures. So we do not run a deficit. We do not accumulate a debt in our operating budget. And so it's a fine balance to deliver a new municipal court building and a drinking water facility, while also looking to the future and addressing our fire department needs and our streets needs, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. With that ballot question that Chief Birk referred to not passing in November, we are now engaging our community on next steps with respect to our fire department. And I think that the briefing tonight from Chief Birk has been very helpful. Our commitment to our fire department and our community is to leave no stone unturned with how we might do that. And we're looking to our community to give us feedback and input on ways to get the resources to our fire department that it needs. I also want to talk about our streets infrastructure, and we have heard from many of you and in our community, both businesses and residents, what's going on with Westminster's streets. Well, it's the same thing that's happening across the nation. The infrastructure that was built out mostly in the 80s and 90s is now coming due. We've been maintaining that over the years, but there was a lot of build out in Westminster in the 80s and 90s, and those streets need attention. At the same time that the infrastructure gap has been growing from those build-out years, the cost escalation on asphalt and concrete has been outstripping our revenue growth. We've been, I don't know if you all know, but Westminster has one of the lowest property tax rates in the country. So we don't get our money from property taxes. We get our money from sales tax primarily, and we use that sales tax revenue to fund our streets maintenance. In the past 6 years, we've tripled our investment in our streets per year. We're now up to $12 million a year, and we're holding the line at the level of streets that you see out there today. It's not going to get better unless we put more resources than the $12 million a year into it. So we're working on that. We're going to come back to you with that. We do have a town hall. The mayor's going to give us some more details on that coming up, where we're going to talk about different ways that we can get more resources into our streets. I want you to know, though, it's our one of our top two priorities on infrastructure: fire and streets, and we're doing everything we can, but we're working against some serious escalation in those two materials. The other thing, as Chief Birk touched on, is we are addressing very different environmental concerns than we faced 10 or so years ago. Wildfires in particular, and we're investing and planning ahead and preparing for that. Climate variability is hitting us pretty hard on our stormwater side and our water side, and also the federal government has been increasing compliance requirements around water quality standards. Even though our water is pure snowmelt, it comes right down out of the mountains and goes straight into Stanley Lake, we still have significant requirements to treat that snowmelt and turn it over to drinking water for you. Mayor?
Our unhoused population continues to be an issue for us and an issue for you when you have the campers in your backyard. Council added an extra $1 million to this year's budget and 2 new navigators. They are not the easiest people to hire. So if you know of anybody interested in navigation and wanting to help out, we aren't the only city looking for those people. So I know they have choices, but we would love to have them come and apply. Our community, you all have been very clear when the encampments come in your backyard, and we hear about the weeds, and then they're starting fires and things are going to happen. We hear that. The chief hears that. And he, as he said in his presentation, he's working with council and bringing some ideas, because if people want help, that's one thing. If they don't want help and they just want to do their drugs and whatever they want to do, I question, is that okay for you? And I have an answer that I believe in, but we've got to work that through. We have state and federal mandates that are impacting us, and local policies around public safety. We saw that with a few years ago with a bill that was passed, and we had people leave. That's the reason we had 30 and 40 positions, because why should a police officer put themselves even more at risk of losing everything with the bills that they put together. And those have been rectified in the meantime, but in the meantime, those people left. We have housing, we have parking, we have density. We have a state that told us parking, density, and another bill, 1313-174, do not agree. So we have those two bills that tell us we're supposed to build 109,000 more units, folks. That's what the state tells us. That's in state law from them doing their demographics and counting. They didn't count where we have our three hubs for where we're supposed to get rail, and we do have US 36. Now, those people that are in the State House and as governor use 36 daily. They don't see what we have in our density places. They did not count those against our 109,000 units or 50,000 new homes. So your council has said to our staff, no, you are to work on our strategic plan and you are to work on what's best for Westminster. And we have told the state we're not succumbing to their, what they have in law. So that's where we're at. We aren't the only ones. I have several mayors in the area and in the state that we've met with that are behind us, and they're not doing it either. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to let everybody know, we have only 2 more slides left. I want to talk about my commitment as city manager to City Council and to the Westminster community. When I came in as city manager on an acting basis in July, and then on a permanent appointment as of September this year, my commitment to City Council was very clear because I listened to what the community and what City Council was saying, and that is we really need to strengthen the relationship between City Council and staff so that we have a very productive and connected relationship. And that's been a big focus of mine since July. Another one, which is one of the reasons we're here today, is to enhance community engagement on neighborhood issues, as well as our bigger regional issues. And we have had a number of those bigger regional issues come at the city. The mayor described some big ones coming at us from the state. We have, not in our city, but very close to us, a large airport. And we get a lot of issues that we want to attend to and deal with around things like the airport. We also have Rocky Flats, which is next to the city, and that issue is there for us. It's a long-standing community issue for us. So my commitment is to continue to enhance the way that we involve our community in all of our work, including things like tonight, moving forward. And I want to assure you that the city staff is here, and we will continue to solicit feedback from you. You're going to hear from us more often. You're going to hear from us earlier. And I can tell you, based on conversations that I've had with many residents and businesses, that residents should expect us to be engaging in this way with you. And if we're not, please let us know. I want to be clear, it doesn't always mean we have 118,000 residents in the city. My commitment to you is to hear your voice. It doesn't necessarily mean it will turn out the way you exactly wanted it to if there are another 100,000 folks who wanted it to turn out a different way. But I can assure you that your voice is valuable. I've told this to City Council as well, because they also have a voice and vote on all policy matters. It doesn't always mean that it goes in the direction that an individual wanted, but it does mean that all the voices came together for the community, and I want to make sure that we hear those voices, and I bring those to City Council, and we have a very responsive staff to listen and do that for our council and our community. I want to highlight some big changes we've made in the digital engagement front, and this is important. In addition to our traditional engagement methods, like in-person meetings and mailers that we do and site visits, we've also rolled out, as of yesterday, a brand new city website. And if you haven't checked that out, please do that and let us know what you think. If you find any things that you'd like to change or improve, please let us know. But it is a new and modern ADA accessible website, and it did go live yesterday. This website is designed from a user perspective. Our old one, for those of you who accessed it, was really designed for us. It was focused on how we structured our departments. You had to know exactly where code enforcement sat or parking enforcement sat to find out how to get to us. This way you can go at it from your perspective. So please let me know and let us know if that is not the case because we're very open to your feedback. The other thing we have is now a mobile app for our new Access Westminster. So in addition to our outstanding police app, which you should get if you haven't got it, we now have a geolocated mobile-friendly app. So you can go out anywhere in our city, and I've used it recently to try it. If you see a pothole on our street, you snap a picture, it's geolocated, you submit that right then on the spot, and we get that information instantly, and we can go out there and address it immediately. We also connect those requests. You don't have to know that you're in Westminster. You could accidentally be in one of our unnamed neighboring cities or one of our unnamed unincorporated counties, and you can still use our app. I don't mean Fort Collins, but if you're somewhere near to a Westminster boundary, we will direct that automatically to that city or that county and get that addressed for you as well. So you don't have to worry about our somewhat complicated boundaries to know when the app works and when it doesn't. And then I want to add also, related specifically to tonight, that we do have a new community engagement portal coming. And I don't want to give any more information on that tonight because it's pretty darn exciting, but that will be coming as well for you to access and engage with us on these big issues, some of which we talked about tonight. There you go.
The big town hall meeting, April 3rd. Put it in your calendars right now, 5:30 to 8 at City Park Rec Center at 105th and Sheridan. The council and I will be there for the second annual budget town hall. And again, you've heard two of the big pieces tonight. You'll hear probably about streets there. And again, it is going to be so that we have your input. We hear what you have solutions to. We have how you think we can solve some of these problems, because I know you have the answers. Food and refreshments will be there. 3 months to 11 years old, babysitting will be provided. Beginning at 5:30, the city staff will have numerous fire vehicles, work trucks, educational displays, and activities for residents, families, and kids of all ages to check out. And this will be a most interactive town hall yet, so please come. It's family-oriented. Kids can go and have fun while we talk about the tough stuff, but we are looking forward to that meeting, and City Council really wanted to do it early because there's so much to talk about, and we just know if whatever we get from that meeting, it could spur a second meeting and a third meeting so that we can continue to hone down of what our budget is going to look like for 2026, sorry. The community will be notified through all city channels beginning this Thursday, March 20th.
Mayor, I would also like to add, it's definitely a family focus. If you choose it to be, we will be having key pieces of city equipment parked outside of City Park Recreation Center, and on that equipment will be the price tag for that equipment, how long it typically lasts us, which is sometimes a surprise for people. Some equipment we use a lot and it doesn't last as long as we would like it to. I think Chief Birk can tell us how much our biggest fire engine just cost us. $1.2 million for one truck. And so that's when we get into funding challenges for
And we just
Chief
don't
Birk.
go to a parking lot and pick it up. Right.
Yeah, in fact, he mentioned the long lead time on the Wildlands fire vehicle. We ordered that vehicle ready to deliver over 24 months ago. So it's taken 2 years from the time that we ordered it, and we are now hopeful that we're receiving it within the next month.
Okay, what questions did you come with? Yes?
Would you tell us about progress on the drainage in City Park?
Drainage at City Park. Oh, the great big drainage at City Park. That's behind my house.
Yeah, so the question for those of you who couldn't hear it is what's the status of the project going on in City Park? And that is a major overhaul of the Big Dry Creek system itself, including the stormwater collection system. And I will get you an update on that. I think we are still projecting construction throughout this year. That is one of the biggest projects that the city has ever undertaken. I don't know if you know, but part of the project that you're referring to adjacent to City Park is a complete restoration and restructuring of Big Dry Creek itself. Over the decades, those embankments have fallen in, and they've become very erratic and unstable. And so in addition to the stormwater work that we're laying in, those pipes that you see, and the rerouting of major infrastructure, we're also rehabilitating completely that whole creek system. So that's why it's lasted so long. But we do, I believe, anticipate most of this year that project will be carrying on. And I'll do a follow-up after this meeting to get you the exact date when we're projecting that's done, sir.
Thank you for your question. Yes.
What is going to happen with Sheridan Green Elementary?
What's going to happen with Sheridan Green Elementary? We've been having meetings, and I haven't been able to attend the last two, so I don't know where they're at and when things are going to happen. I'm thinking, I don't want to say anything with what I think because it could be wrong.
So the question was what's happening with Sheridan Green Elementary. So the school district discontinued the use of that school. We had a reverter clause, meaning that way back when that property reverted to the city. We went through an engagement process with our community, and the community input was to turn the whole area into a park. So expanding Stratford Park into that. So the building comes down, and then we enhance the park to include that area, and we also upgrade the facilities in the park. So the playground, the courts that are there, those will all be redone. And so I don't have a schedule for you tonight. That's the second thing that I will follow up on after this meeting is a schedule of what's happening and when it's happening on that site.
And I know as much that can be recycled is going to be recycled. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Plan with Station 1, the fire station?
Station 1.
So the question from Mr. Fenmore is what's happening with Station 1 and the plans for Station 1, the fire station?
Thank you for the question. Station 1 is our oldest fire station. As I mentioned before, we have 2 that need replaced and 1 that needs renovation. Station 1 is the station that needs the renovation. Although it's built a while ago, it's very structurally sound. The impact there at that station is, one, we don't have adequate size for our equipment, and it doesn't have equal amenities for all of our firefighters. But the call volume out of that station is high. It's the busiest fire station in the entire city, and that call volume continues to increase. We're monitoring that, not today, but in the future, we may need to add another resource there to respond. We don't have enough space to add another resource or enough corridor space for people to reside there at the station. So if we can identify some solutions of how to fund that, that is a facility that would be renovated for future expansion for additional services.
So you're looking at adding on towards that?
Correct. Yes, that station will be renovated to add on additional space there. Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say thank you. This has been an excellent session. I'm a frequent participant of the city council meetings, and I listen to the study session. But having these 2 gentlemen here tonight giving a more resident-focused explanation of how they accomplish what they accomplish, what it takes, and what we need to do for them, I think is really important. I would have liked to see more people here. How do we get this message out? We all need to know this information so that next time we have a choice to make, we can better equip you to do the job. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And if everybody just brings 1 or 2 persons to the town hall, it will be wonderful because we need to fill that big room. I think 250 people can fit in there. So start advertising for us. Thanks.
And thank you for the kudos for doing this tonight the way that we did it. I think the way to get more people out is to have these sessions frequently and consistently, and also have them be of value to the community. So if anyone who's listening tonight, give us feedback, give me feedback on what we covered tonight, how it worked, what didn't work as well, and what you would also like to see us cover at our next engagement session, which the mayor and I will lead a month from tonight here in this room again. So send us your ideas.
Will the recordings be available that we can share them on our social media?
So the question is, will the recordings be available? Yes. So this is live streamed. It will also be recorded. That's where the answers to the questions that I couldn't answer tonight will also be posted. So that'll be one-stop shop for you, and you can share this out. And if people find it of value, whether in person or after the fact, then that may also encourage participation in our next month's session.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to also thank the chief
street racing has really decreased in the last few months. So.
It is, with the nice weather, it is out again. We have committed to partnering, so we have, not all the units within the police department are full. They're darn close. The traffic unit is full. So there's 5 car positions, 8 motors. We're missing 1 accident investigator, but it's a fully staffed unit to go out there and do enforcement. So we are taking it seriously, and that is our #1 complaint, quite honestly, speeding and street racing. So what we are doing this year, we've committed again to a statewide, which is more of a metro-wide, with State Patrol kind of being the seat, where we all work together in unison on different nights. So it's not just pushing them from Westminster to Broomfield, Broomfield to Boulder. We're all working together to squash it and to do everything we can to eliminate it. We've also been very diligent in working with our businesses in our business community to make sure that each of the parking lots, what we experienced the first year is we would have 300, 400, 500 cars all show up at once. And we're sending 3 or 4 officers. Doesn't get the job done. So we've worked very diligently, and our business community has been very receptive to it, of having trespass orders in those private parking lots. So when they show up, they know they're going to get a ticket. No questions asked. The businesses says, you're not shopping here, we don't want you here, that type of thing. So that word travels. They use social media and communicate just like we do, so that word travels. So they're not showing up in Westminster to park and to hang out and to have car shows anymore, the unauthorized car shows. They're not doing that anymore. And so what they're doing still that creates problems is they're traveling through our city. But we're working with the metro area. We're working with the Adams County Task Force. So we do that on different planned nights where we have all the Adams County agencies doing the same thing, again, doing the enforcement. And then when we're not busy on those nights, we put our traffic unit out there, again, to combat some of the street racing. So it's I appreciate the kudos, but we also know that it is March and we are heading right into that season. We've also changed some of our municipal ordinances that when we have people street racing, council was very supportive of this. When we have some of those street racing events, that we're able to seize those cars. And obviously there is a process for that. The judge and the city attorneys are very much involved with that. But that word has also gotten out and been a deterrent for us. So we're doing everything we can. We know it is absolute work for everybody. But if you hear that, go to streetracing.com and report it. That goes to the state, and then they send it to the geographic area where that's happening as it happens. So thank you.
And where do they report?
Streetracing.com, yes. Or you can go to the police department app.
And I would also like to emphasize one of the things that Chief Haubert said, and that is that with the strong leadership of City Council, the Chief has worked with our City Attorney's Office, and we now have an ordinance that allows us the legal ability to impound these cars. And this is very unique in the country to be able to do this. And the idea behind that is this is the most valuable thing that these individuals possess, is the car. And we've not been able to take them away before. We've been able to issue citations and such, but this lets us take the car. And we have the first 1 or 2 of these cases now working through our legal system, so we'll keep you updated. But we do believe it's already been effective, and we hope that that our legislation holds, and we're able to impound these vehicles as they commit infractions. We've hit 5:30, but I know we have at least one more question.
Ann wanting to ask a question, nice and loud.
It is very frustrating, and we find it frustrating as well. Please call us. So if we're busy doing other things, it is still continue to be on our radar, so please call us. But we are out there enforcing it, and motorcycles do present a difficult challenge for us, but we are still out there doing the same thing with the motorcycles that we're doing with the street racing. So please call us, though, or report it on streetracing.com. Thank you.
We want to honor your time. I know it's dinner time. Thank you so much for coming. It's wonderful to see all your faces. We'll stick around if you have something, and I know you want to get some names and ways to contact people to get some questions answered. So thank you for being here tonight. Thanks.